Warning, this episode contains adult language, mature situations, an anthology of stories, kidnapped princesses, pranking old ladies, manga news, and the trouble with communication. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Spiraken Manga Review. I'm your host, Zan, saying konnichiwa, aloha, bonjour, and what's up? Hope you're doing good and hope you're excited for another fun-filled episode of this awesome podcast you can find at www.spiraken.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and various other social media sites. And with that in mind, let's actually get to the manga review of the week, because if you remember from that last episode, I spun that one, that only, the Wheel of Manga. And it dictated on TV that I'm reviewing a pretty, well, an anthology manga that's very different. So let's get to it. So this manga was written by Toryumon Takeda over several years and has been compiled into one collection that is in full. This was originally published by Enterbrain and released over here by Yen Press in one volume. It is released in Comic Bean magazine over time, each of the little individual chapters, and the original run for this was 2020. Like I said, there's only one volume, and it is complete. It is a drama romantic anthology that is actually a seinen. I thought this was a josei series, but it's actually a seinen series, meaning it's for men over the age of 17. And the original title for this was Ato Ippo, Soba ni Kite, but in English, it was known simply as One More Step, Come Stand By My Side. And this is an anthology series that focuses on something pretty unique. And what am I talking about? I am talking about, well, communication, on how we deal with each other and how we're able to get things across, and the misunderstandings that occur because of so many misunderstandings with communications, and how things don't always go the way we expect with everything going on, because communication is so very important, you know what I mean? And honestly, this is one where it focuses on such a unique way that, well, let's actually get to it, shall we? So, I told you it was 6 stories that covers this entire series. And let's actually get to the first one. The first one that we're going to be talking about, actually, is going to be When the Time Comes. And this is the story of a princess named Leisha, who was told when she was a child that when you get married, you're going to find the love of your life, and you'll be able to convey your meaning through your pinky fingers, which is the finger of love. And she actually asks her mother, who's telling her this story, well, what happens if the person doesn't have a finger? Well, you have to convey it through your words. You have to tell them that. This comes into importance because many years later, when she is about to get married, and she has gotten herself to the point where she's going to meet her future husband, who she's engaged to, she gets kidnapped by a radical group that doesn't want to kill her or ask for anything. They're going to use her signature and her fingerprint to get some documents signed so they can actually make some profit before things change due to some new laws that are coming out. Kind of simple, but kind of horrifying as well. So they keep her tied up and bound and gagged, where only her one arm is free and her eyes are covered. And the only solace she has is a mysterious individual that she can't see, but she could smell and she could hear him and she could talk to him, but he never answers. And when he cleans her and gives her food, she notices he has only one hand with a finger missing. Well, he has 2 hands, but he has one finger missing, and it is the pinky finger. And over time, as he's taking care of her over the weeks, she ends up falling in love with him without seeing him. How could this happen? What could occur? And she tries to tell him that she loves him, and if he does love her, tell her back and they can run off. She doesn't care if he's missing a finger or whatever he did, because losing a finger means that you did some crime. And he never answers her, so she's heartbroken and thinks that, oh no, he can't love me. Well, in reality, it turns out it's a little more complicated than that, because he's deaf. And so her words were never conveyed to him. So she doesn't know what she's going to do, because this guy has been arrested and he is going to jail for kidnapping the princess and probably is going to be executed. So she tries to convey, again, her love for him, but doesn't know if it's even answered. And like I said, this is about communication, trying to get back and forth. The second one is a little different type of communication. The second story is called 10 Minutes Later, the Cops Show Up, because it's about a woman who found a stalker in her apartment and she tased him, then called the cops. And then she ends up having a conversation with this guy who she's essentially tied up. And when the cops show up, things are going to get really weird, but she's wondering why he likes her and why he never approached her. And it's kind of a little fascinating story on that. The third story, which is A Tranquil First Night, is the first night between an emperor and his new bride, and them finalizing their marriage and going over some details. This one has the most unique art because the emperor is missing limbs, and it's kind of horrifying, but it's this whole secret clandestine moment of their communication of what they believe and what they want, and, well, suffice to say, less is said, the better. The next one after that is actually one of my favorites, and that's Ain't That Nice. It's about an old lady who repairs vending machines and refills them, and what she does is every time she goes to a vending machine, she ends up shaking a soda and putting it in there because she finds it funny to keep people on their toes. Not to say that when some stuff happens, this comes to bite someone else in the butt later on in a kind of hilarious way, kind of horrifying way, but digress. So, the next story after that is one called Paradise, about two individuals who end up in essentially the lost city of gold in the middle of Brazil, and they cannot talk to the natives and get some points across, which leads to some kind of disturbing situations involving, well, some miscommunication, some weapons fired, and maybe some poison involved. This is kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't story about communication, how if there's no communication or it's misunderstood, bad things will happen. When it's not really so bad. It's like something seems really scary, but it could not be that scary. This story reminds me a little bit of Dale and Tucker, which is a horror movie where it's these two hillbillies buy a house and they're just on vacation, and meanwhile a bunch of college kids think they're crazy hillbilly murderers when they're just two normal guys. Really good movie. I highly recommend it, Dale and Tucker. The next one after that is Ain't That Nice. It's about a young man who is taking care of another young man who is a paraplegic. And it's their relationship and them not being able to talk about, not their feelings, but one's trying to be nice to the other one, but the other one can't express certain feelings that are not, like, they're all platonic, but it's a whole thing that is due to a misunderstanding. That again, it's, why didn't you tell me these things? Well, I can't because I'm afraid to. That's what this is about. Like I said, this is all about communication. The next story after that is the most popular in this anthology, and it's the most heartbreaking, which is The Wife Whom I Loved. And it's about a husband and wife who, they love each other in a very sickeningly sweet, even though that there's some slight tension between them, but they still care about each other until an event occurs. And this event completely changes their dynamic and their feelings towards each other because of miscommunication. Someone doesn't tell the other person what they're feeling, and this leads to some moments. And I'm not going to spoil this one because this one definitely should be read, but it is a heartbreaking and kind of beautiful moment in it. And that's what this is about. It's about life and love and, well, sadness, all that together. The story goes together really well. A lot of these stories are very unique. I'm not particularly a fan of the Nothing Wrong With That, A Tranquil Final Night, and then 10 minutes later the cop show up. They're okay, but they're not great. These standouts are the When the Time Comes, which is the longest story, The Wife Whom I Loved Dearly, which is that last story. So the opening and closing are perfect, and then that middle story, Ain't That Nice. So it's those three structures are great, but the other three are kind of lacking in my opinion. So it is 50-50. Like I said, the art style, and I showed you, the art is beautiful. There are some truly great moments. Unfortunately, for certain reasons, since I don't want to get in trouble, I cannot show all the very best shots. And I also don't want to spoil the whole stories. But it is one that I would recommend. It's one of those ones where it is unique for that element where you have all these great stories in it. However, I have to be pretty much not judgmental, but I have to be consistent with my ratings. And here's the thing. The art is really well done, but this is not for everybody. The anthology style is a very niche market. More importantly, this is an anthology where half of the stories are not great. So 50% of them are good, 50% of them are kind of meh, they're kind of mid. So because of that reason, even though I do love the artwork in this, and I think that the last story is one that everyone who has ever loved someone should read. I have to give this manga our middle of the ground rating of, well, a gift from your crazy Aunt Muriel. It's okay, but in the long run, the majority of the stories are super forgettable. Once you put this down, you're going to forget about most of them except for that last one and that first one. Those two you're going to remember completely. Even the middle one, which I find fun, is really forgettable. So that's my thoughts. If you've read this, let me know if you enjoyed this or didn't enjoy it. Email me at Xan, that's Xan, at Spiraken.com. Let me know if you like this or didn't like this, or if you have read this and you think this is the best thing ever, that this is the bee's knees, so to say. And my random question of the week is going to be very simple. It is, which of these stories was your favorite? Which one did you like? Or which concept did you think sounded the best? Let me know. Email me, xan@spiraken.com. And with that in mind, let's actually get to the manga releases for the week. And this week we don't have that many, only a couple. And the big one that we're going to be talking about is Seven Fates, Chakyo, Volume 3. This is a manga. This is a Chinese manga. It's pretty cool. Next we had The Ancient Magus Bride, Wizard's Blue, Volume 8. The Beginning After the End, Volume 5. The Boxer, Volume 6. A lot of mangas are coming out this week. Boy's Abyss, Volume 5. The Dangers in My Heart, Volume 8. Daughter of the Emperor, Volume 7. Disney Mirrorverse, Belle, which is an alternate retelling of Belle, More Courageous. Don't Call It Mystery, The Omnibus, Volume 7 to 8. Free Life Fantasy Online, Immortal Princess, the Light Novel, Volume 6. The Husky and His White Cat Shizun, Eren Hete de Bai Mao Shizun, the novel, Volume 5. Into the Deepest, Most Unknowable Dungeon, Volume 8. Itaewon Class, Volume 1. Jujutsu Kaisen, the official character guide. This is connected to the manga and the anime, so there are images of both. Killing Stalking, the Deluxe Edition, Volume 6. Made in Abyss, Volume 12. It has been a while since 11 came out, so I'm kind of happy to see more Made in Abyss. And I finally showed this series to Greta, and she was horrified by it, which was amazing, because she's like, oh, this is so cute. And then just how it gets so much more depressing over time. It's such a good series, but so depressing. Anyway, I digress. Magical Artisan Dahlia, Wilts No More, the manga, Volume 6. The Most Heretical Last Boss Queen, From Villainess to Savior, light novel, Volume 6. My Gently Raised Beast, Volume 6. My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, the manga, Volume 9. Overgeared, Volume 3. Pokemon, the Complete Pokemon Pocket Guide, Volume 1, the manga. Reincarnated as a Sword, the manga, Volume 12. See You in My 19th Life, Volume 2. Rai Rahalia Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion, Volume 6. And last and certainly not least, we have World's End Harem, Volume 17, Afterworld. So those are the mangas for this week. Which ones were you most excited about? Which ones were you most intimidated by? Let me know. Email me at xan@spiraken.com or tweet me at Spiraken. Personally, for me, my top 5 for this week are going to be See You in My 19th Life, Volume 2, Overgeared, Volume 3, Made in Abyss, Volume 12, Itaewon Class, Volume 1, and The Dangers in My Heart, Volume 8. All these are exceptional mangas that make me want to read them more. So let me know which ones you're most excited about. And before we go any further, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for checking out this podcast, because every email I get, every comment I get, gives me more motivation to keep doing this podcast, and I love doing this. I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can until I'm an old man who has to read manga with thick glasses and, more importantly, large print manga. So thank you. I'm excited for what's going to happen next and what's to come. So we're going to see how this all goes. And the next convention I will be at is going to be at Animazement. I applied for it, and they have approved my panels. Hooray. So if you're going to be in the Raleigh area at the end of May, I will be at Animazement for 3 panels. What are the 3? Well, 24 manga recommendations for grown-ups, I'm Not Old, main character's over 30, and horror and anime manga. I've applied for some others that have been waitlisted. Let's hope for another one. The one I'm most excited about is Live Action Equation, which is a series about anime live-action adaptations, and there's another one about marriage manga, but hopefully that one comes through. We'll wait and see. But with that in mind, let's actually get to the part that you have all been waiting for, the most popular part of this podcast. And what are we talking about? We are talking about that one, that only, the Wheel of Manga! Yes, friends, the Wheel of Manga, except no substitute. Now, what is the Wheel of Manga? The Wheel of Manga is a Wheel of Fortune with 10 slots on it. What I've done is I've assigned a manga title to each of the 10 slots. So we're going to spin the wheel. Whatever number it lands on, that's what we're going to review in the next episode of the Spiraken Manga Review, episode 555. Can you believe it? 555 episodes. Kind of cool. I'm actually excited to see where this goes. So let's spin and see what we're going to do, shall we? Number 7. So in the next episode, we're going to be reviewing a new interpretation of some of Osamu Tezuka's best works. What are we talking about? Team Phoenix. I've been hearing a lot of good things about this, and the artwork looks amazing. The fact that the second volume is with Blackjack, well, I'm nerding out. But maybe it might not be that good, but we're going to have to wait and see. So anyway, as usual, I am your host, Zan. I am Gonzville. Catch you guys next time, and keep reading manga. See you later.